Hello, welcome to Skimlecast, episode 6.
Episode 6. We are back. And last time we promised, we left a cliffhanger again in the end of the session that we promised to go a bit deeper into how does Skimle actually work and how is it different and what have we learned from our customers. Also, we noticed that the sound quality was not at the Skimle level. It was great, but not at the Skimle level. So
Not 200%.
not 200%. So we invested a bit of time and we went into actual professional podcast studio where we are now. So the background looks ugly for those who have the image, but the sound is hopefully much better. We have fancy microphones here and lots of knobs and dials we can do.
Those who say that these guys belong to a padded room, we are in one.
Exactly, you finally got us here.
All right, so how does Skimle work?
How does it work? Yes. You made it, so you might as well tell how it works.
Yeah, so almost all the other AI tools are in a way synchronous. You ask something and they process the knowledge. They try to come up with the answer immediately. And Skimle, the point of Skimle is kind of that it analyzes the data beforehand, asynchronously in the once you upload your documents, and it creates this abstract structure that kind of acts as a scaffolding for all the information you have in your data set.
Yeah, and why did you build it that way?
Well, in many knowledge work, you have to organize data in a like a persistent structure.
Yeah.
To make sense of information, you need to organize it, right? You need to have some organizing principles, some kind of categorization. And the problem with ChatGPT and these others is that it's kind of ephemeral, right? Like it disappears.
Yeah.
You just have the history of the chat, and then the ChatGPT goes and, oh, what did I say 15 minutes ago? And that's great if you're engaging with the information for like half an hour. It's something you can, get into and get out of. Initially, why I was interested in building this kind of persistent structure was because of research, right? I'm a professor by background. But then actually, very quickly, as we discussed, it's something that a lot of professionals need.
Yeah, exactly. And it's valuable that the information is actually processed and analyzed and stored, because basic ChatGPT, as you mentioned, it kind of every time it starts like to read the material from the very beginning. So it goes like, they ask another question, so let me go back to the beginning or the first interview and so on. Of course, with the large context window, you can load all of that, but still you get slower responses and hallucinations and always a different scheme in a way. So if you always start reading the source material from beginning, you will always take a different angle, which is you cannot reproduce anything you do. And of course, we wrote about it in the Signal and Noise blog, but this approach of doing RAG, which some have tried, so retrieval augmented generation, is saying, hey, let's be smart in what we have the AI read. So whenever there's a question, we ask them to read only selected snippets of the source material. That sounds promising, but doesn't work either, because it's always different what they have read, and they don't really organize the source data. They just take another read at it every time. So, which is kind of, I think one thing in Skimle that it's not a unique kind of choice of do you process in the storage stage or do you process in the retrieval stage. And it's the same in many kind of data architectures. That do you spend a bit of time and compute on it up front, or do you do it at runtime?
Exactly, yeah. And now we have one customer who's looking at feedback they get. It's kind of like customer feedback, actually a public organization, so it's more like complaints, consumer complaints, but
Isn't there some positive feedback? Like we love your laws and we hope that every bureaucrat would be like you.
I think there's a different mailbox for that is not very much use, but so for example, the RAG doesn't really help at all. If you want to understand, like, okay, what are the different categories of complaints we get?
Yeah.
Like a search engine, like you could ask, like, oh, what is said about topic X? But like that's not the task that
exactly.
they face.
You want to analyze the data, not just retrieve it, basically. Yeah.
And something that we found that I didn't think so much initially is that without this abstract knowledge structure, you can't really compare things
Mm.
systematically. So, like if you would ask, I think Notebook LM is one of these better RAG
Yeah.
models. And if you would ask Notebook LM, how do the documents from 2024 differ from documents from 2025?
Mm.
It's completely impossible, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
it's a search engine. It's
mm,
like you could ask Google,
yeah.
like how is
Mm.
that? And it's a kind of a task it can't do.
Yeah, and I think funnily enough, like I've been now playing a lot with other kind of qualitative analysis softwares, and we're going to soon come up with the comparison video. But one of the things is that if you don't do proper AI structuring, you
Mm,
can fake maybe 50% of the analysis, so it can look like
mm,
that you
mm,
have
mm, mm.
done a comparison and you have done all of that. But then when you start to go a bit deeper, you start to realize that the answers are very shallow because there's no stable structure.
Yeah.
You cannot really go down to the quote level or up from a quote to a document and so on. So you can
Mm,
AI is very good in generating a kind of a sloppy structure
yeah.
in a way. AI sloppy structure fools you for the first 5 minutes,
Mm, mm.
doesn't really help you afterwards, and then that's when you're kind of rewarded for doing the proper analysis in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. And I this reminds me, I was trying this. You can ask with Skimle, you can create this metadata, right? I
Mm.
had this interview data set where we had employed and unemployed people, and you ask like, what do employed people and unemployed people say about this? And I tried with Notebook LM, and it just it takes from all the material quotes, and then it looks like, oh, this quote looks like it could be something an unemployed person would say, and then when you start like actually verifying the
Mm.
results, it's like, okay, some quotes attributed to employed are from unemployed and the other way around, and it's
Yeah.
this kind of does this smell does this
Yeah.
particular piece of text smell like
Yeah, it's
it's
like
an unemployed? Yeah,
yeah, like a year ago we had the beautiful pictures of people that were perfect, but they had 6 fingers.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
the same
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
quotes. It's like a perfect quote, but just doesn't come from the actual source. It's very credible, uh,
Yeah.
but anyway, so Skimle, we spend the time to structure the information, and can you a
Mm.
bit explain how is it done, Mr. Professor? How do you do that analysis?
Well, when you structure data or where you kind of analyze this type of data, I think there are two kinds of mistakes that can happen, which also happen to people actually. That you pick something that is irrelevant, but you say it's relevant. So, like
Mm.
complaints, you can say that it's been cold in Finland in January, and that's just context. That's not a complaint, right?
Mm.
But person can say, is this a complaint? Is it not a complaint? And the other problem is that you miss something. So there's like
Type 1, type
type
2.
2
Yeah.
errors. Yes, exactly. So so people are saying that it took a long time to get the response and it's a complaint, but the person who's interpreting doesn't. So
Mm.
we want to avoid the latter type. So we want to have like a big,
Mm.
what is this kind of like?
Sledgehammer. Yeah.
No, I was thinking what you used to, like a big net that you catch the
Ah.
butterflies with.
Okay. Your
But
your metaphor is much more nice than mine.
okay, yeah, we take a big sledgehammer to your data, and all the crumbles we try to pick up. So we go through the document in small pieces, and whatever you want to extract, whether it's
Mm.
one insight type or it's multiple categories, we kind of get that information as broadly as possible.
Yeah.
And with LLMs, even though the context window is growing, if you insert too much data at the one time, the performance still starts to go down. So we get roughly half a page, 1 page of text. You still get like it picks everything.
Yeah.
You try to give 10 pages, it will miss stuff. And then after that, we start creating category structure. So once we have gone through all your documents and extracted all the, let's say, complaints, and the question is, some of them are relevant, some of them are irrelevant. But if we build up from them a category structure, then instead of like going through 1,000 observations, you can look at like 10 categories, which have
Mm.
10 subcategories, which have this
Mm.
insight. So we start building building the category structure, we do it also in pieces and then combine the
Yeah.
structures. So to avoid this problem of category, the context window getting too big, and then we start with the top level categories. We put the insights into the category that they belong most
Mm.
strongly to. We also like write down in the database if they are also related to other
Mm.
categories. So we have this knowledge that categories are similar
Mm.
if insights complaints about the speed of response could connect also. They might have some other
Mm.
other
So it's quite a
complaints.
bit of compute in a way, or
It's a lot of
yeah.
well, lot. It's more than the other services do. So we kind of really make sure that we have a parsimonious, logical set of categories, and then for each category we create subcategories, and then we
Yeah.
place the insight into subcategories, and that kind of allows us, I think, to circumvent this type 1, type 2
Mm.
problem, because now you're not dealing with individual observations immediately, you're dealing with categories. And there's actually one secret thing we do also
Don't
within
tell it. Don't tell it. Yeah. We're not.
it's
Okay.
we
We.
can so in every single subcategory we then look like which are the best quotes
Mm.
to illustrate this particular category, and in the user interface they come first.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah. I thought you were mentioning the secret shield algorithm. That is fully proprietary secret.
yes
We will.
yes yes
It's locked in actually the same safe that we have the Coca-Cola recipe. It's right next to it. We have
yes
the secret ingredient of of Skimle.
yes it was one Christmas break when Ollie cracked the Coca-Cola
Yeah.
recipe. He didn't have anything to do, so he was like experimenting.
Yeah, in the same safe we have it. So we spend a lot of compute in making a good structure for the knowledge, a real analysis structure. And then what can the user do with it? So how do you play around with the data, and how do you export it, and what do you do
Yeah.
after the?
Yeah, so the structure helps a lot, of course, in the interactive user interface. You can browse the categories, but it allows also things like we can create a report,
Mm.
for example, a Word report where you have kind of the hierarchical category structure. That okay, these are the complaints, these are this type of complaints, and you have this kind of tree level
Yeah.
structure you would find in a government report.
Mm.
But also PowerPoint text, so you can get.
I loved it when it came first. I was like, now it's a proper tool. It can do PowerPoint. I felt cozy, like at home when I saw that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's actually I've actually used it I mean, it was for consultants and market research, and the point is that it's easier to put together your own deck when you have already the quotes there. But I've used it actually with researchers because it's kind of you can browse through
Mm.
on a shared screen, like what are the topics. The PowerPoint is not really.
It's the format of gods, right? It's
Oh,
if,
18 years in consulting.
yeah, if the Bible would now be rewritten, it would be a PowerPoint deck.
Oh my God. The 10 slides of commandments.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so you can get it in different formats. You can also browse the table, of course. You
Yes,
can,
yeah.
you can double click and annotate and change the quotes, all of that, like edit the category structures and all of that. Then,
And the chat that we don't talk a lot about, that also utilizes the category structure to create more relevant and more comprehensive.
exactly, because instead of having to feed all of the documents to the chat and say, okay, here you go, here's the 10,000 pages, here's my question. You feed the category structure in it and say, here's the categories, which of these could be relevant, which of the metadata could be relevant, and it's kind of saving time from the poor AI, not making it crazy.
Yeah, but also like improving the
Quality.
the output. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So as you mentioned beginning, we started to do this structuring of the data first for some kind of information, some for others. But like, what all uses have we figured out? Like what's been surprising for you? Like we came with the big sledgehammer, and now we've been looking for nails, and we've been finding nails and screws and butterflies and everything. We can hit with the sledgehammer. But what have been surprising nails to hit?
There was one professional took their meeting, like Teams transcript. So had been doing in a project Teams meetings and put all the transcripts in Skimle and got this kind of category of what are the topics that have been discussed, and you can look, okay, these are the topics I discussed in these meetings, and now the topics are changing and new topics are emerging. So.
Exactly. I think he's not the only one who has a bunch of these AI automated meeting notes.
Yeah.
Which are great, but of course you will never read them one by one again. So how do you then transfer that? That was a surprising use, I think, and shout out to whoever is listening and realizes this, that they're using it for email.
It's Harry, no?
Yeah, I thought we had a secret GDPR thing, but we only mentioned the first names.
Yes, there are so many Harrys in Finland.
Yeah, very good. Any other surprising butterflies we have hit with the sledgehammer?
Well, I think something that we are now getting more into is this kind of connecting the category structure to different metadata, but also metrics. So one thing that I'm quite excited, it's not really my field, but this kind of customer feedback, NPS, type of seeing, okay, those customers who are happy, what kind of topics are coming up, and those who are really happy, what type of topics are coming up. So I think that the category structure does, if you code qualitatively, inductively, I mean, you can't really connect it very strongly to quantitative metrics. But with the AI, because you get this kind of whole category structure, you can say, okay, what's the the correlation between people who talk about these topics, and so that's I think that's something we will look into, and in a way this structuring, when it's done by AI at scale, it opens new opportunities in a way.
Yeah, and I think the bigger revolution we hopefully see with AI and tools like Skimle is that you can actually now use qualitative analysis much more broadly.
Yeah.
Like it used to be that if you have 100 piece of text, it takes you a long time to analyze them. Maybe you do a word cloud or something stupid, but you can't really analyze them. Now with proper tools, you can do much higher quality analysis of broader materials, and hopefully that way kind of more analyze, because quite often people want to understand why are things happening or what is predicted to happen, not just kind of what has happened and count stuff. And it's the qualitative data is the valuable data for many.
Yeah, and before you could do some with computational text ones, but you had to define every category with like word lists, and there was no possibility of stuff just emerging from the data, right? Or you had to know this and add manually that, I need to add this category to our scheme. So
it's the renaissance of qualitative analysis. Soon every professional will have a big sledgehammer they can walk around and hit the data to the head. Right?
All right.
Good.
I think that wraps up our
episode 7.
Violent metaphors. Is it episode 7 already?
Or 6?
Well, we don't count. Who counts?
Yeah, we're not quantitative analysts.
No. This is a qualitative company.
It was a great episode.
Yes, okay.
All right, see you next time. Cheers.